Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. club. It's actually before 5. It's an early start for me today on Tuesday. I'm in the city and it's as quiet as anything. It looks like it's overcast. I can't really tell, but it's still pretty dark. There's a gentle breeze blowing. It's mild, and what I'll do is I'll just commence my little walk and head down to George Street. And what we'll do is we'll do a book summary today, and it's another cracker of a book summary. It's a book summary entitled The Power of Myth by an author, Joseph Campbell, and it's a book which examines myth and how it has changed over time, but how important myth is in man's life to help them make sense of the world and to bridge life with death and to unite people within a culture. It's one of these subjects that I've always enjoyed, given my Greek heritage and background, and I've always enjoyed learning about myths. But this book here goes one step further and explains the importance of myth in our lives, and something that I've really enjoyed reading. So what the author talks about here is that before we had science and evidence and all of these other things that we have, like we have in the world today, our ancestors needed to use myth as a way to make sense of the world. So the author here talks about even today when we have science, there are still things that are unexplained and unexplainable that still need myth to help us make sense of them. And these are the elusive truths of life. And these elusive truths are things like life and death, and understanding what we have in common and what life's all about. So these elusive truths, things that science can't describe, science can't explain, such as life and death, and also the transitions that we make throughout our lives. I just look at that number there, 60. I've turned 60, and I just can't believe where all the years have gone. It just seems like yesterday when I was a kid, going to school for the first time, getting on a plane for the first time, meeting my wife for the first time. There are just so many things that I look back on, becoming father for the first time and the last time, becoming a grandfather. All of these things, all of these transitions in my life, losing my parents, there are just so many things that you think about, and we go through stages where we try and make sense of each of these transitions and each of these things. And in many ways it's myth, and in not always just myth, but it's also our religious structures and frameworks which help us make sense of the world. So the first point that the author talks about in his book is that myths give people a common identity. A common identity. They also help unite people in community and identify the beginning of cultures. I absolutely love my Greek culture because it just goes back so far, and it documents many things and allows me as an individual, as a person, to have a common beginning with many other people. But also the beauty of the Greek culture is that it has infused and has become a common element in most Western culture. But to be part of the original culture set is something that I am proud of and I identify with. So the author makes a valid point here that myths give people a common identity. You know, they give us a starting point, they give us something to have in common with other people, especially given that, you know, for example, I live here in Australia, I was born here in Australia, but to feel that I have a common identity and I can link and unite with family and friends from all over the world is something really, really special. The Greek diaspora, the Greek seed, is all over the world, and as a lot of my family and friends, you know, believe, understand and feel, is that there is a brotherhood that you feel because of your cultural roots that is unique, is comforting, and there's a global sort of hug that you feel by being part of a club, by being part of a culture that as you get older and older, you yearn for more and you feel for more as well. Because the author once again reminds us that it gives us a common identity and it unites people. So regardless of where you live, regardless of how you've grown up, there is a cultural element that unites people in community, and you can also feel that you're part of something bigger and more special rather than being isolated and feel lonely, I guess is one way of describing it. But also the importance of myth, and we can also put religion in here as well, is that it defines and preserves a community identity. When it comes to talking about myth and religion, one thing I want to make a strong point about is that Christianity is not considered to be either a myth nor a religion, because there are certain truths that become ways of life that are not religions, and they're not mythical. So I just want to make that point, that strong point, that Christianity is not a myth and it's not a religion, because it is a truth, and truth is not something that can be reduced to a myth nor a religion. So just make that point very, very clear. So the next point that the author makes in this wonderful book, and I'll just start walking down George Street, is that legends, myths and cultures all have legends, and these legends are the things that society passed down and serve as a framework for how to think and how to act through all the important and major steps and milestones in our lives. I've never quite thought of it like that before, but it is a powerful way of looking at things, that the myths, the religions, and I guess from a Christian perspective, our Christian beliefs gives us a framework to enable us to transition, to grow, develop from one stage to another, from the time we're born, we're christened, to the time we grow up. We get engaged, we get married, we have Holy Communion, we go to confession to cleanse us of our sins and our different troubling times in our life. What else is there? And the final thing, of course, is we get to the stage where one day we transition to the next stage of our life through passing away. But all of these major steps, all of these major milestones, all of these troubling and important transitional steps are covered and dealt with from a religious point of view. So let's just flick now from our Christian beliefs back to the myths to talk a little bit more about what this book talks about. And the author says that myths give us a framework for life. They help us comprehend and or handle significant life stages like birth, adulthood and death. And they help us step through life, take the steps, and also allow us to transition and go through the various important points of change, and such as marriage. And a lot of myth and talk about the importance of marriage and how marriage helps complete us and another person's spirituality, and hence why we talk about the other half or our partners as being soulmates. And there are a number of rituals which are embedded and included in myth, such as, for example, Indigenous or Aboriginal boys are called to drink blood at some point in their lives, and it symbolises and allows them to internalise the fact that they've gone from boy to man, because they leave behind their mother's milk and become hunters. So there's always lots of rituals that are embedded and included in our myths, our religions, and of course Christianity, which help us make sense and internalise the changes that we have in our lives. And the third point that this book talks about is the fact that myth helps us prepare for death and helps us, understand and make sense of death, because myth helps comfort our fears. It helps us grapple with our own mortality, and it allows one to link life to death in ways which are empowering and comforting. Because according to many myths, according to religions, and of course to Christianity, that death is a passage to a new stage of life. It's the threshold which unites us between this realm and other realms, and we see death as just being another stage of life. Just like we spent time in our mother's womb, not knowing what life in this world would be like, we get to experience life in this world. And just like that, myth, religion, and our Christian beliefs also allow us to understand or to appreciate that we are experiencing something different, and it's all part of our preparation. Anyway, I think I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for joining me on Jim's 5 a.m. Club on this early start to a Tuesday morning. So let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's take some lessons from this wonderful book summary that I've been able to cover yet again this morning on Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And the book is entitled The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell, where we look and learn about the importance of myth in helping us and our ancestors and future generations make sense of the world, and to work in conjunction with science, because science can only take us to a certain point, after which we need myth and we need other things in our lives to be able to understand and explain the unexplainable, the things which are elusive, the elusive truths in our world and in our lives. So I look forward to coming to you again. We'll finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I'm well, and I feel great. And we'll talk again. So thank you very much. I'm just heading down George Street, heading to work, and look forward to coming to you again at a later point in the morning during my smoko, during my morning tea break, where we do another book summary and see where it leads us. So there we go. Take care, and we'll chat again, and we'll try and get through this morning, get through this day, and see where it leads us. G'day mate, how you going? Yasas from Jim's 5 a.m. Club. Bye for now. Good luck, yeah.